Yo, what up, what up, what up?
You guys ready for some live calls today?
My favorite part of the day.
Live calls.
What's up, Annie? Rick, what's going on, Eviel and Alejandro, Derek, Nikki, how you guys doing?
What's up, Rick? This is Annie. Hey.
What's up? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good.
That's good. Good to hear. Good to hear.
You know, dealing with a hiccup right now in one of my real estate deals, but I'm working
What's
through
going
that.
on?
Well, you know, I lent my self-directed IRA to another investor out here in New Mexico, and she did not pay on time. So now we're in collections and litigation.
Oh man, yeah,
Right.
that's
So it's
happened a lot lately.
right, right. It's going south, but you know, these are the things that we learned. I mean, I trusted her because she was trying to build a relationship, and then she was trying to prove her credibility. Well, this is not the way to do that.
Yeah, you said it in Mexico or New Mexico?
New Mexico, right?
Okay,
I'm in
cool.
Albuquerque, right? So she borrowed my $40,000 from my self-directed IRA. I would have gotten 12% out of the deal. And then she was paying me 1% on late fees every month. I don't care about the 1%. You know what? I lost 30% because it's a kind of lost opportunity cost for me because I was not able to turn around and reinvest that money. And that's exactly what I had intended to do, was reinvest it. Had she been on time, it wouldn't have been an issue. Had she communicated with me that she was going to be late, I would have made other plans. And then I would have renegotiated the deal, but she didn't do that. So at this point, I've got a collections agency and a litigation company pursuing her ass.
Yeah, that happens. I've heard from a lot of people, like when I came into this game, that sometimes when it's time to balloon, you're not going to be prepared or ready for it. You might have to extend. So I've heard so many stories. I'm having a couple balloons coming soon, so I'm almost finished with some of these. Hopefully, I can get them refinanced out in time. But if not, you know, I'm prepared to talk early about it if I know that I'm not going to be able to do it.
Well,
it's part
that's
of the
the
game,
thing.
I guess. Yeah, it's part of the game, I guess. Sometimes it happens, you know.
It does happen. But you know what? Had she communicated with me and said, "Hey, let's renegotiate the terms," and I would have said, "Okay, let's renegotiate. Here's my new terms. You like it? You don't like it? Oh, tough."
I can imagine how uncomfortable it is for somebody in that spot. And I know that, hey, if it ever comes to it, I know that I'd have to talk to the lender about it. But, you know, that's just where I'm at right now, too. Where I'm like, if it were to happen, you know, it's probably not going to be the best conversation, but I know that I'm going to have the conversation.
But you know what? I was a former project manager in IT for 30 years. When something is not going to happen, you let the client know. Rule number one: communicate, communicate, communicate. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking texting or email. I'm talking pick up the goddamn phone, give me a call.
Exactly. Fastest, easiest way. But most people are just, it's uncomfortable to them. I think it's a little bit easier for me because I look at it as like, hey, you just kind of like a lead, right? You just got to call and get it done. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but it has to be at least disclosed.
You have to do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my clients were Abbott Laboratories, Bank of America. Let me tell you something. If I didn't communicate, my ass would have been on the line. I would have said, hey, we're in trouble. What would you? Here's my suggestion. What would you like to do? You know, you work with the client. You don't just leave them on the lurch, assuming that, oh, well, you said you were going to pay me. Now you didn't.
Yeah.
What the hell? You know, you think I was just sitting around with, you know, six-figure money and just handing it over, hand over fist? No, I'm reinvesting that money. And I'm waiting for you to pay me on time. If you can't pay me on time, give me a heads up. That's the least you could do. It's called professional courtesy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, so that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. And then I'm also trying to, I have another investment vehicle and platform that I'm also working on. That's more fixed rate, 10%, you know, with a 5-year hold, 10%, steady 10%. So it's good, plus dividends. So, you know, I've got things on hopper. I'm certainly not hurting, but at the same time, it sucks that I got to deal with this hiccup. It does.
Yeah. For sure, I can see that. I can see it not it being a comfortable situation for you either, for sure.
Well, and I have the collection company and they're a collection and litigation company combo. So I'm doing a one-stop shop. They're out of Florida, they're out of the United States. So that's it. And the fact that she's got her LLC and she's the registered agent, I have a feeling she didn't have a protection on her LLC. She didn't have the privacy structure right.
Oh,
So-
yeah, that's one thing. Most people don't get that set up structurally right or structured correctly.
So she can be in a hell, but she could lose it all. The way I'm going after her, she could literally lose it all. Because I lost $250,000 by her not paying me on time. It's $250,000 I lost.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about, like opportunity risk and stuff.
Right? It's the opportunity missed, right? It's punitive damages. I don't care what you say. You're late, and you're 1%. Up yours. Stick it and shove it up your ass, because 1% ain't gonna do me anything.
Solid. Not the best. Yeah, hopefully that
Not
goes
the
up. Like, hopefully you get that situated and whatnot.
Right? Yeah, because I'd like to reinvest, take that money and reinvest it. That's kind of my goal, was to get into another group, because I do group syndication in multifamily. So I would like to get into another group that's a solid, that's a solid 15 to 20%.
There you go. Yeah, I know a lot of people actually that are dealing with that. Like, you're not the only one. I'm talking to a lot of my buddies who lend, and same thing has happened to like a few good ones. There's even somebody in the side chat right here said that he's dealing with two deals very similar to yours in Florida. So yeah, there are a lot of people right now that have money lent out that haven't been able to get their money back on the exact timing. I'm not sure if everybody's getting at least updated on what's going on. Like, at least the lenders are at least getting updated. I'm not too sure, but I've been hearing a lot of lenders having to extend, like not willingly, but like, hey, that's kind of like the only option. So
right, it's about done for closing, I suppose, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's it. So I'm just like, oh man, it's a bummer. I hope those things don't happen. I hope everything's good on my end. But hey, if it is, I just know that, hey, I got to pick up the phone and try to resolve it. That's all.
Yep, you're right. Absolutely. So yeah. So cool. Live and learn, right? This is how we, as investors, it comes. I guess it comes with the territory.
Yeah, there's the risk part. That is the risk part of being an investor or lender in this business. Is those are part of the risk, I guess, that can happen.
And you know what? And I asked her for a collateral, and she wouldn't. She goes, I'm trying to build a relationship with you. I'm not going to renege on that. Well, you just reneged. As far as I'm concerned, this relationship is over. The minute you don't even talk to me, don't even think about me referring anybody to you in doing business. This is not how I conduct business. And I owned a business out of Chicago for 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. Me being a independent consultant, I've dealt with clients before. I know how it works. Things happen. We can't control, there's the unknown unknowns, and that's the risky part of any effort, whether it's a project or whether it's an investment, right? But the key is you make sure that you're always communicating the things that are happening and the challenges that you face and solve them. So yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm good. I'm lining up my 2023. I'm looking at doing a multifamily on my own. That's a turnkey. So with the company, I'm working with a company right now to do a turnkey investment, 2 to 20 units. So we'll see. Sweet. We're just at the beginning of that. I just want to stay in the passive investing side. I really don't want to be on the active and operations. I'm more about, let's figure out a way to make the money work.
Okay. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Okay, cool. So before we get started, does anybody have any other questions before we get into some live calls about anything that maybe you guys are having some issues on some seller objections, can't overcome something where you're stuck in anything that has to do with cash and or creative? You guys are looking at deals, need some help. What can I help you guys out with before we get into some live calls?
Hey Carlos, how you doing today, bro?
Good, brother. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's, brother. Happy New Year's.
Yeah. So I was sent over some creative stuff out in Puerto Rico. Some lots, some a house, and then this other like restaurant slash business hotel thing. They're all creative deals. It's a lot of information, and you know, Puerto Rico is still technically the U.S. So I was just kind of wondering, is that something you would be willing to look at?
I've never, I've never marketed there, never thought about it. It doesn't mean I won't look at it and see if, there's something that can be done. Are these like properties that are or businesses that are open to being sold on creative, or they're already like secured and just to look at to buy?
No, they're open to creative.
Okay, and you have the leads like direct to like the seller of these properties or businesses, or are you working with somebody on them?
I'm working with another sub two lady. She actually knows the owner of the property. So she sent it over my way. I was actually talking to her about properties out here in Florida, and she's like, "Well, I actually have a creative deal in Puerto Rico I need help with." So,
okay. Well, what's the next step on that thing? Like, you want me to help you like call them up and whatnot, or where are we on that thing?
Yeah, well, she sent me all that. We talked about it earlier, and she sent it to me kind of late. So it's kind of late in the day to call them now. But I am off tomorrow, so I'm gonna jump on the call with her tomorrow to get more information on it, and then I'll shoot you a text and we'll go from there.
Okay, yeah, we'll go from there. I've never worked a deal out there, but whatever, we'll figure it out together.
Okay, cool.
What about everybody else? Anybody else have any questions for me? You guys want me to do like a simple role play so you guys kind of see how I do things, or you guys want to just get into live calls? I'm trying to see how I can build some more value. Usually Q&A helps out, but sometimes not everybody has a question. So just wanted to ask any questions, guys, anything I can help you out with, any objections you can't overcome, how to look at a deal.
One thing, Carlos, real quick. I was just kind of facing right now before we got on the call. I called a couple multifamily listings out there in San Diego, and what I struggled with right off the back was when I asked them, straight up if their seller would be interested in seller finance. They said no, that they just want the cash offer. They want to take the cash. One of them said to use it to donate to charity before he dies. How do you kind of come back from that? What kind of you go to right after that?
Well, there's three reasons why people don't want to sell their property on terms. One is like because they don't want to. Two, because they need a certain amount of money to achieve a goal. Or three, they just don't understand it. When in the scenario, he's coming to like maybe to an end, and he's getting a little bit older, wants to donate to charity. The only thing that I can think about is what if you give him a little bit more money, and then let's say that you can make the payments arranged to that same charity that he was going to give it to anyways. But by selling it this way, you might be able to give them more money over time, and that could be all paid out to the charity. That might be the only other way thinking about it, because he just wants to sell it cash. Most people want to sell cash for the reason why they just want the cash. His is going to be donated anyway. So maybe there might be an opportunity for you to just bring up like, hey, what if I was able to buy it this way, give you a little bit more money, and then I can just arrange all the payments to be made to that same charity and whatnot.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like, I'm not sure. Does anybody have any feedback that they want to put or input in there? No. Guess not.
I was thinking, what if instead of him putting that money into the charity, he helps us and we help him make a lot more money for that charity with money. Let's get him back. Let's get that charity a bigger return before they get their money.
All right. That'll be one way. All right, well, guys, we'll get into some calls. It doesn't seem like we have any really, we don't have much questions. So let's see. I'll go ahead and call Ambi's lead. So Ambi, catch me up to speed with this one lead right there in Nampa. What's going on with it?
So the guy, he's serious in selling the property. I spoke to him about like 3 weeks ago, and he wanted to sell because he has some personal things going on, and he just rather just live in a trailer and not deal with this property.
Okay, so we got some personal issues. Do we know what they are, or you just kind of understood? Okay, he has some personal things going on.
I was trying to dig deep in that, but didn't have too much report, and it was kind of the first call.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you find out this is the house he lives in, or he rents it out?
His house he lives in.
Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and call this guy up. Let me set up my phone real quick so that I can have it adjusted right next to the mic. Let me call him up. This is Will. Okay. Everybody on mute, please.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, Will? How you doing, man? This is Carlos.
Hey, Carlos.
Hey, you had spoken with my associate and me about your property off of Amethyst Way.
Yeah.
Just touching base. I typically underwrite the properties and cut checks to the ones that we add to our portfolio, and just wanted to see if you had a couple minutes to chat and see if you're still open to selling it.
Well, kind of like I told him, man. I mean, I'm like at least 6 months out from actually coming to terms with that, but
Okay, so like, would it be even best to conversate now about the sale of your house, because I don't know what prices will be in 6 months. And so like, is it
No.
more like you're waiting to move out in 6 months, or is it more like you just don't know if you're gonna sell?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of up in the air. So I'm actually at the VA right now in an inpatient program, and then it's just a lot of unknowns right now. So
What's best for me to do? I don't want to bother you. I know that you got some things, you might have some things that you need to take care of. But if you
I mean,
have a
3
follow-up
months
with you.
Yeah, like maybe 3 months.
Okay. Is there anything that maybe I can help you out with? Anything I can do for you while we wait?
No, sir. Nope. I appreciate that though.
Okay. Well, then it's best if I call you in a couple of months then, right?
Yes, I would appreciate that.
Okay, let's do that then. So it's a little bit more fair, because we're talking about buying something today and then you're not ready to move forward, and it takes you 3 or 6 months. Prices can change. So it'd be best if we both just waited until you're a little bit more open to talking.
That would be great.
Okay, well, cool. Thanks, Will, so much for your time, and I'll follow up with you, and Happy New Year.
Hey, you too, Carlos. Thanks, sir.
All right, bye. Let's do a follow-up.
Wow. So I see now people do change their mind. I mean, he would sound very serious when I was speaking to him. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna sell. And I was trying to dig it deep. He told me, yeah, I'm trying to get a trailer, travel the world. I got a lot of personal things with this property, and I don't want to deal with this anymore. But it seemed like otherwise.
Follow up. Let's do a follow-up in like 2 months on this guy. Keep up on him or whatever.
I was thinking of just following up with him every month, just so I could stay in front of his face. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, go ahead and call him up and work with him, and just follow up every month, and I guess that works. All right. Call up this. Somebody else just sent me a lead. Oh, this is gonna be an agent call. Okay, cool. So let's see. Oh.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 415518. Your call has been.
Oh, I want to wait later. Oh no, one is on. Let me pull up this lead. Give me 1 second, guys. Yo, Rick, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So this Robert guy, we shoot him a call and I've already talked to this guy before. Rick. You're on mute, buddy.
You did say Rick. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You said Robert Chapman?
Yeah, so Robert Chapman, I talked to him last month or when?
Yeah. Yeah, you talked to him at the beginning of the month last month.
Okay, where'd that conversation go like? I totally forgot.
Yeah, so he is a tired landlord. He has 2 properties. He was bitten by a other investor that pulled out of the deal the day before closing. Now he all of a sudden wants to fix up his properties and list them, but the properties need, quite a bit of work. So, I think there could be some motivation in there. And yeah, he just said no because he owns them free and clear. I think that's what he told you last time.
He said no to what?
Well, just kind of like with, cash and terms. I think you just kind of told me to follow up at the beginning of the year because there may be some motivations in there.
Okay, cool. Well, let's just figure it out. Let me call back up real quick.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, Robert? How you doing, man? It's Carlos.
Good.
Hey, I had spoken to you last month about your property right off of 62nd Street in Bradenton. Just wanted to follow up with you and see if anything's changed. I know that you had said that you might want to have kept it, fixed it up, and listed it for yourself. And I just wanted to follow up and see if that's still the case, or maybe you're open to working with me now.
No, I'm still working on it, redoing it.
Okay, so that's more something secure that you're gonna do. Yeah, nothing's changed. Yeah. Okay, that's just me doing a little follow up, checking in. You don't have anything that maybe might fit my buy box, or I look for something like kind of like this, fix and flip, or something that I can buy if you're willing to carry the paper. No, not right now. No. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate it so much, and you have a happy New Year's. You too. Bye. That one could be like a longer term follow up for that guy. If he's still working on it, cool. If he's not, like, seems like he's going to just maximize it. He's free and clear. He's probably going to do what's best for him and fix him up and whatnot. All right. Let me see. And then what happened with Theodore? Did I get a hold of Theodore?
So you talked to her once, but now she's ghosting us. She won't answer our calls. So try again, I guess.
All right. What did our conversation go like when we first talked to her?
So she's kind of in the same deal. She's a tired landlord. She has a few properties that she's interested in liquidating. She's she knew what she was talking about. She's a veteran. She's bought and sold real estate in the past. So she said she's in no rush, but she is interested in liquidating.
Okay, this is a small house, right? Okay, let's see. All right, let's take a look. Let's color it.
You guys okay?
Hello,
Hey, what's up, Theodore? It's Carlos. How are you?
I'm okay.
Hey, did I catch you at a good time? I had spoken to you a little bit earlier about your house right there off of 29th Street in Palmetto.
Yes.
Do you have a few minutes? I just wanted to touch base with you and see if you're still interested in selling.
About 5 minutes.
You have about 5? Okay.
I have about 5 minutes. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I just wanted to touch base with you and just talk to you and see if by chance you're still open to selling it. I know when we last spoke that you had said you were looking to liquidate, and you're I guess you said that you were getting tired of being a landlord on the property. And so I just want to touch base with you and see if you're open to selling it now.
Yeah, we're gonna sell it.
Okay, cool. Is there a tenant still in place right now?
Yeah, the seal is still in place.
Okay, cool. And they're month to month?
Yeah, he rent by the month.
Okay, that's good to know. And then what are they currently paying you right now per month?
He pays $800 a month.
800?
Yeah.
Okay. And what would you say like market rent would be if this was
I have no idea what market rent is. I rent my houses and I set my price. Now other people set their price. Whoever buys, they will have to set their price of what they want. My husband and I are a little bit on the low side for rent, and we understand that. But these people in our houses are much less fortunate than we are, so we just kind of give them a little bit of a deal on, renting our house. I don't have nothing to do with what somebody else would charge, but I really don't know what the going market is. I'll be honest, because, I haven't bought a house myself to live in. How many years? Almost 60 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries. And you don't have to know. I always ask the question. Sometimes the Southers know it, sometimes they don't. It's just a simple question. Okay, well, let me ask you this. If we were to come to an agreement, how soon would you be open to selling the house? Like, do you need a lot of time, or would you only?
I need a lot of time. See, there's two things involved here. The guy has to get him somewhere to live, or you may be one that rent, where he can rent from you. And if you need a place to stay, if you rent and he wants to stay there, then he can stay there. Otherwise, we need to give him ample time to find him a place to go. Now, ample time does not mean a year. It does mean 6 months. It does not mean that. But once I tell him, I don't want to tell him that you're going to have to get out, and then he has nowhere to go, and then there's a change in, you or whoever buy the place.
Got you.
You understand where I'm coming from?
Mm-hmm. I hear you. And would they be open if you were to let them know, like, hey, I'm going to be selling my house. I'm going to give you.
I told him that. He knows that.
Okay, so he is open. So they might be prepared to move in case they need to.
Well, he knows that if I sell the house, he's going to have to find somewhere to go. If the person does not, some people buy with the intent of doing what we did. We bought with the intent of renting it in the first place. But I don't know about other people. You or whoever the people who buy the house. I can tell him he has so many days, a week to find a place to go. Okay. Now, if you buy with the intent of renting, I can say to him, now, I think you may be able to still live here, but I can't say what your rent will be. I'm sure your rent may be different. You won't be paying me, you'll be paying your new landlord.
Got you. That I hear you. Yeah, my goal, just to be frank, right? So I don't waste time, is my goal would be to.
Here, go.
Oh, are you there?
Yeah, there you go. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you at all. I heard what you last said, and then the phone kind of had this static. What I was getting to is, I'll be frank with you. My goal would be to go in there and renovate it, so then I can charge, a premium rent. And so, as long as the tenant knows, that makes it easier for me. What I want to.
He's a great woman. I don't know his room. When his room is due, he pays his room. He pays his room on time, and sometimes he pays it before time.
That's good. That's good.
I don't have no problem with that at all.
That's good.
He's an older man.
Yeah.
He's an older man, and he's retired, but he has an income to take care of what he needs to take care of. So paying his rent and things like that, I have no problem with it.
Okay. Well, let me ask this. I'm taking a look online, running some comps while we were speaking, and I'm trying to find some photos so I can see some like the way it looks, but I can't find anything. Let me ask some questions about the condition of the house, like as far as anything.
Quickly, because I got 5 minutes. I got a conference call coming through in a few minutes. That's what I'm saying to you.
Cool.
What do you want to know about the house?
I want to know, what would need to be updated cosmetically, right?
I live there. I don't live there.
When was the last time you took a look at it?
I don't live there, but I have someone who go into the house. They check the air conditioning twice a year, make sure that's working properly. And if there are any other problems there, like with the plumbing, the toilet, or whatever, like I put a new toilet in there with this new guy just moved in there. He's been living there going on 3 years, but I put a brand new toilet in there.
Okay. What about let's say, does it need any renovations, like for it to be brought up to standard? You haven't been there, but let me ask this: in the last 5 years, have you renovated the floors or like the kitchen that's there or the bedroom?
The floors were tile, and when he moved in there, I put carpet on the floor, put carpet down, and the living room and 2 bedrooms had carpet in them.
Okay. That's
and if he were to move out, I can imagine I'd probably go back in and put new carpet in there, because I'm sure, if you have some wear and tear of the carpet. So I do that after any of one of my houses. I go in and see what needs to be updated, and sometimes I give it a fresh paint job. I gave him a fresh paint job when he moved, just before he moved in.
Okay, gotcha. And just
but
to confirm,
I can tell you that he didn't put some finger marks on the wall. Now, I've been in my house 60 years, and I don't have finger marks on my wall, see? But I'm not the renters, you know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you. But to confirm, this is a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and it's around 615 square feet.
Bath, yeah.
Okay, so then let me ask you this then, just so I don't take too much of your time. You don't have much. What are you looking to sell the house for?
I told you before, you talked to me before.
What was it? I don't remember having anything written down.
That's important. Now, there's no way you could have forgotten that, because that's one of your most important things. We are asking $120,000 for that house.
Yeah. I don't even have that written down, so I'm writing it right now.
So you didn't have you weren't that interested in it, were you?
No, I'm always interested, but I wasn't the original one you had first spoke to. You had spoken to my associate, so I had.
You will. What's your company?
What's my company name?
Mm-hmm.
DLPS LLC.
What's that mean? DLPS.
It's an abbreviation for the full name, Dinero Land Property Solutions. So I'm a private investor. I buy property.
So it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, DLPS. Otherwise, it's a long name.
I'm interested in that house.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, because I'm running some comps. Just to be frank with you, I don't see much properties that we're selling in those numbers. I can't find anything around the 600 square foot mark. Everything's a little bit larger, and everything's selling at that 100,000 mark. And this was last month and a few months before.
It's on the market. No, the value of the downtown is going there. No.
Yeah,
it's on the value market.
Got you. Is cash the only way that you would sell this property?
Is cash the only way? That's the only way, yeah.
Yeah, that you're not open to carrying the paper at all?
No, no.
Yeah, what I would need to do for this.
I don't have to sell back yesterday.
No, yeah, I totally get you. You're in a good standing. You're in a good spot. So
yeah,
for this,
see, I'm getting older now, and as I get older, I'm closing out a whole lot of things.
Mhm.
And as I close them out, I just want to close them out and be done with them.
what are you planning to do when you sell the house? Like you get cash, you're just going to park it in the bank, or what are you
I
planning
don't
to
know
do?
what I'll do with it. It's my personal business. I don't know what I'll do with it.
Got you.
But I'm a professional, so I'm not a neophyte.
No, that's good. I totally hear you.
It's not like, and I'm not hurting for money because I had a job. My husband had a job, I had a job, and I had 2 businesses.
That's good. Sounds like a good
So
job.
it's not that, but what I do is my own personal business. There's certain things I don't tell people into my business.
Got you. No worries. I'm always curious to find out what people are going to do with the money because I always borrow money. So I was going to say, hey, let me borrow it for some of my deals since you're trying to exit the business. Well, then, yeah, for this to make sense for me as an investor, because I would do the same thing. I would try to be a landlord and make money. For me to buy it cash, because cash is a little bit more expensive to use right now, I would have to be a lot less than that 125. I have to be like half that, like 60,000.
No, I can't do that.
And so if I was able to pay you 125 and give you some money down, that wouldn't work, and you let me make some payments to you for some time?
No.
Even if I were to make it to a true investment, you make a little bit more money than the 125 than you're asking?
No. I'm not at that point. I'll be honest with you. I was at the top of the pay scale where I go, and I have a PhD. So I was at the top of the pay scale. I retired with a PhD. No.
Let me ask you what would stop you from selling it on seller finance this way? If I was able to make you more money. I said, what would hold you back from selling your house on payments if I was able to give you more?
I don't want to be bothered. I've been through it all that. I don't want to be bothered.
Okay. And even you sold your house before?
I was in an accounting, so I don't want that. At my age, I don't want none of that hassle.
Got you. Because and I'm not trying to overcome things. I was just trying to separate them from being a landlord to selling it on payments is different.
I understand where you're coming from.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I don't think Theodore, I don't think I'm gonna be able to work with you on this property. Do you have any other properties that you might want to sell?
That's the one I'm concentrating on right now.
Got you. That one wouldn't work for me, but your best bet would probably put that on the market, list it. You'd get more homes.
On the market. I don't intend to put it on the market.
Okay. So
I've sold other houses right here in Manatee County, not too far from it, and they sell like hotcakes. No, I'm not putting it on the market.
What are you going to do to sell it?
Just people contact me just like you're doing.
Boom, there you go. Yeah, I get you.
Clean up some person that they got a clean deal and they take it and they do whatever they want to do. Some have turned it into their properties I've sold to them, have turned it into nice rentals, and some have turned it into the home for themselves.
Got you. So then what would you work with if 125 doesn't work? What would be like your bottom line walk away with number?
I gave you it's firm, but I said FIRM.
Okay.
Firm, firm. I would walk away with 120, but that's it. No negotiation. Firm, FIRM.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, the numbers just don't make sense to me, at least. Yeah, as an investor, they don't work with me. But I do appreciate you for your time. I know it took a little bit longer than those 5 minutes. But thank you so much. If there's a way that you can think of me, if you happen not to sell it for that price, I'll come in and buy it on the seller finance way for that price.
Well, I appreciate your answer.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, dear.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
You're welcome. You have a good night.
You too. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Bye.
Questions on that? I'm gonna grab my water, guys. Does anybody have any questions on that phone call, or everybody good? What do you guys think about the call?
I mean, it seemed like she didn't even want to sell, honestly. Like, no matter, what number you gave her, she wasn't interested.
Yeah, I was just trying to get like my 2 cents in there and see if I can work it instead of just hanging up right away. I was just trying to ask questions, right? Like I didn't sound too pushy, though I was, not giving her the answer she wanted or going against her, I guess, because I was still trying to see if there was going to be a way to work for at least not my business model, somebody else's. I couldn't make it make sense with her asking price. I think that's close to like what it's worth, like as an ARV price. And it sounds like she hasn't renovated it. This guy's been there for a long time. So I don't think that it's worth it to lock it up cash at that price that she's asking. Couldn't really get any wiggle room. Try to get in there and do some work, but I couldn't get that done.
Yeah, she probably also feels loyalty to her tenant as well.
Yeah, I feel you. Let's see. Any other questions, guys? Ladies and gentlemen? If not, I know somebody who I can call right now. One of Wilkins leads. Anybody ever worked land before? Anybody in here good at working land?
No. I got some land in Texas right now that I can't get rid of. And the broker
locked up or
what? Not locked up, but it's there's no buyers for it. I have another Chris Colton, a sub-2 student, getting echoed. But we can't find any buyers for them. They're not in a flood zone. They have utilities, and the 80-year-old seller is open to terms. Oh.
Larry, are they in DFW area? Just out of curiosity.
They're southeast of DFW, Malakoff, Texas.
Hit me up later.
Okay.
I might have a cash buyer for you.
Okay.
Boom. Look at that. Fire. Exchange phone numbers if you guys don't have it already, so you guys don't forget.
Well, my number's on the screen.
Boom, boom, boom. Who is Matt Rogers? He is the landman from Oscar. Hello, my friends. What's up, Dustin? My friend. All right, let me get this phone number brought up real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm almost done with this agent objection sheet, Derek. Here we go.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, Stacy? How you doing? It's Carlos.
Hey, Carlos. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Did I catch you at a bad time, or do you have a couple of minutes?
I have a couple minutes.
Cool. I was calling on behalf of Wilkin. You had spoken to him about some land that you have. Or is this at? You see, it's in Birmingham, off of Highway Milton or something like that.
Huh?
Cool. And I'm just touching base. I had a note that said that you might be open to selling on seller finance, and I think that you have some type of plans for 22 homes or something like that on there.
I don't have plans for homes right now. It's a sports facility. He just asked me how many homes could go out there, and I know at one point it was percolated for at least 22, but I'm not developing it.
Oh, okay, got you. So
yeah,
at one point, when you said at one point it was, it was perked for 22 homes, how long ago was that?
One of the developers wanted to purchase it at one point. And it was probably in 2005.
Okay.
2005, 2006, something like that.
Okay. And you said it's currently being used as a sport facility? Correct. Okay. Is there any buildings?
There's a big steel hangar.
Okay, big steel
It's
hangar.
used for an indoor facility, but it's big. It has offices and
Is that actively rented out right now?
the whole facility is, yes.
Okay. Are they on a lease or like a month to month?
They're on a lease.
Okay.
But there is a stipulation in there that I can, break it if I sell it.
Okay, so you can break the lease. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And how long do they have left on the lease?
3 more years.
Okay. So 3 years.
Two more years. 2 more years.
Okay.
2 more years as of July 1st of this coming year. So about 2.5.
Okay, so 2.5 years left in place. And are they just renting out the hangar, or they're renting out the entire
facility?
Okay, whole facility. What are they paying monthly?
Not sure I'm privy to say. I'd have to find out from my lawyer. It's a pretty good amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'm trying to see what I can do with this. I do lots of different things as investing. Like not only do I buy cash, I buy creative, and then we do a series of investments. Sometimes we put mobile homes and split parcels, or we can do some new builds. It's just a little different right now with the unstable market, and then with rates things are just expensive to do with cash at the moment. So I'm trying to see what makes sense. And let's see, let me see my notes. You were requesting, if you were to sell this property and the 34 acres, you would be looking for like 10 million is what you're looking for?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And is land typically expensive out there? Or is it like you're trying to sell it on the potential of what you can do to it?
No, it's very, very scarce in our area. And it's growing rapidly. There's not much land left.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I'm not the most familiar in that area and looking at land and seeing if 10 million makes sense. Is there any is there any wiggle room in that number, or?
Well, you can you can do some research and let me know. I mean, make me an offer. I'd be willing to entertain any offers.
Cool. What's surrounding this? I'm looking at like a Google map real quick so I can see how it looks. What are the locations that are surrounding here? Maybe is there any other communities in and around the area?
You mean housing communities?
Yeah, I'm trying to see because I'm seeing there are some houses behind you guys.
Yeah, Triple Crown is right next to me and behind me.
Okay. Okay, and then you are. So is yours the only one that is not a residential community, but it's around a whole bunch of residential communities?
Yes.
Got you. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So I can see why you're also looking for that 10 million, because the potential of, hey, you could just turn it into a whole bunch of homes.
Houses are selling for about 2 mil out there right now. And if you could put 22 on there, I mean, that's, that's a lot.
Yeah.
If I could afford to develop it, I would, but I can't.
Okay. So I'm gonna do a little bit more research myself so I can get you a fair offer in there. Because just to say 10 million off the gates, I don't know if I can do that. But what I can do is I can do a little bit of research and see maybe, hey, what else I can do. Is it just zoned residential, or is it zoned commercial residential?
It's zoned residential with a what is it zoned? It's agricultural with a special use permit for recreational.
Okay, special use recreational. And does it have all the utilities already attached, like water, electricity?
It's on a well.
Okay.
And it does have electricity at the building, and we do have outdoor lighting, field lighting on the outdoor sports fields.
Okay. And then let's say if I was able to, let's project that I was able to come up with a number that maybe does make sense for you. You would be open to seller financing it?
Yes.
That would be the best way for me. I would come in, grab my team, and see how we could lay this out. And as soon as we can figure out and get all the funding, that would be like the easiest way to pay it back. So the seller finance would be like the best way for me to go about this.
Right. Sure, absolutely. I would entertain that. The only thing I would need is a fairly reasonable down payment just to pay off. I have an SBA loan, so I'd have to pay that off.
Okay, you have an SBA loan in place. What's that amount?
It's about $1.5 million right now.
Okay, and what's the interest on that?
It's prime plus 2.
Prime plus 2. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what are you making like installments like every month, like on the principal, interest, tax, and insurance?
Yes.
How much are those payments?
Well, I only pay principal and interest because it's a small business association loan. It's not like a mortgage.
Okay.
So the property taxes and all that is paid by my lessor, the people who lease the property from me.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. So then what is your principal and interest payment?
It's about $10,000 a month.
Okay.
Right now.
Okay, cool. So let me do a little bit of research. I got some good information on here. Let me do some research, and if I can figure something out and make something happen, I'm gonna call you back and present an offer to you.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
I don't even know land too well. So it's zone residential, zone agriculture. So here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this property on a map view, and there's all these baller ass communities. They're all big. They all have like big pieces of land, and they have good like parcels per house. And the houses probably are 1 million plus because they all look like massive homes. And so I'm thinking like, I don't really know too much people in the area. I just got some quick information from her. She was real easy to talk to. She broke down what she's actively doing with that property. And I'm thinking the only way that this can make sense for me to see if I can get a quick yes or no is probably call these other communities, like the one she said Triple Crown or something, which is Triple Crown. I see it right here. Like a way I can think about like, how would this make sense is maybe calling in one of these single family home communities and seeing if they wanted to add more space to their project, and then see what they'd be willing to buy these 34 acres for that's literally connected to them. But I'm not the best at land, so that was kind of like my spiel, just jumping on a phone call. Did any of you guys do land or recommend anything I could have said or done better? I'm seeing Jennifer put, I missed the zoning as what? Sewer hookups close by or septic out there. Okay, it was well. Residential and high use.
Maybe asking a ballpark number of how much the construction of the houses will be and the development of the roads.
Yeah,
sidewalk, electricity, and all this stuff.
Yeah, that could be a good question for me to ask in the next round. What do you guys think about that? How did that conversation go? It's fairly simple. I mean, I'm not a master at land. I just asked some quick questions. I honestly couldn't. It wasn't just like one, parcel of land. It was like 34 acres, and all I see around it to be is just other communities. So off the bat, I didn't know what I could offer. So that's kind of like what just made me grab all the information and either, hey, one, call somebody that knows land pretty well in the area, or two, maybe call those communities nearby and see if they want to buy it and what they'd be willing to buy it for.
Maybe also asking how much time will it take, and how many permits or whatever paperwork you're going to need, because I'm sure you're going to need to do some permits and some environmental test, and you're gonna have to, yeah, it's gonna take some time for you to be able to get all the permits to be able to build, you know. So yes, time wise, how much time it will take.
Right. Let's see. That's good. So I wrote that down.
Yeah, Carlos, you might even want to look into see if they have any local small home builders out there that are actually actively still building right now, and hit them up. You know, not like the bigger ones like Lennar and all them, because they're all in trouble. You know, but small builders, they're, you know, from what I see, even out here in LA, there's small builders, small companies that are, there's a building that they're putting up a block away from my house, you know, like right outside of downtown, they're turning into, it's going to be 7 stories with 3 stories subterranean parking. And I think it's going to be a total of 200 doors that they're building. And they're a small company. And from what I spoke to, the foreman of the construction site, and he said that, yeah, it's only the small players that are taking advantage of the market right now.
Yeah. I think I might actually just call up like the communities nearby and just give it a shot.
Carlos,
what's up?
What did she say that it was also used for what did she say? Sports something or other?
She said it's a sports facility. So when you look at it, it looks like there's a big hangar on these 34 acres.
What state is it in? I'm sorry, I came in pretty late.
No worries. This is in Georgia, Milton, Georgia.
Milton, Georgia. Okay, because you know, since there's so many houses and stuff, development like that around there, it might be a good place to build something. So I would even talk to other developers that build like experiences or sport, you know, like a bigger sports park, like for traveling, you know, teams and things like that. I know there's some places in Georgia that I've been to for baseball for my son, where it's just huge tournaments and people come out and they play in all these parks, and it's all kinds of different sports throughout all the parks. And they're all throughout Georgia and Arizona and places like that. So even something that's you can develop some, or, you know, a developer might want to buy something for that type of use. I'm not sure if anybody's looking to do that right now, but that's another option if she's already using it for sports stuff.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, so I gotta put some time in and just call in some people and just chat and see how, you know, see what they're doing, I guess, in the area. I had put some notes down to call, and there's a community called Chicken Creek, a community called Triple Crown, and then Milton, Georgia developers. And so I'll probably call up a few and just see if they're looking to add more to their portfolio or add some more land, and, you know, if they're looking to expand it. So then it's a quick conversation to see if I'm wasting my time or not. And if not, probably tag in some land guy in the area.
Carlos, another question that comes to my mind is asking if there is any companies opening warehouses, any hospitals opening up, anything that is going to provide more jobs to the area. Would be a good question to know if there's going to be growth.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's a good question right there. All right.
Like anything in the next 2, 5, 10 years, you know, so you know if there is going to be growth.
Yeah, I want to start learning a little bit more about land instead of just like kind of writing it off all the time. I never pay attention to it. Then I hear people making so much money on land. I'm like, fuck, geez, I come across these things and I never look at them the right way. How do we get in contact with developers from Yesenia? Just, I don't know, Google. Google's probably a quick way to do it, or word of mouth, like talking to, you know, brokerages or other brokers that do land development, and possibly see, hey, who do you recommend as a developer in the area? Maybe some type of Google review. I'm not sure. I've called developers a few times just through Googling.
Hey, what's up, bro?
developer or something like that. What up, though? What questions do you guys have?
I got a quick question. She says she's paying something in the ballpark of $10,000 monthly. Do you think that's too high?
I mean, that's what she's paying. So it's like it was probably worth it at that time she bought it, you know, for her to make it make sense. I mean, here's the cool thing is she's obviously making a return on it because she has it rented, but it sounds like she almost is doing some type of like double net lease or something, not like a triple net, but like where she's like, yeah, I'm not paying the taxes or the insurance. And typically as a landlord, you do. So she's renting it out, but renting it where she's not paying taxes and or insurance. So she's leasing it out, and then the lessee or whatever, they're the ones that are taking care of the taxes and the insurance payment. So in the end, she's not paying 10 G's herself. That lessee is actually paying it and taking care of the taxes and insurance. I just don't know exactly. She didn't tell me off the top of her head, I think, what she's charging them rent. She said, I don't know, I gotta ask my lawyer, but it's a lot, is what she said, right?
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. But what I got from it was she's the principal and interest she's paying is somewhere in the ballpark of $10,000, and her tenants is paying the taxes and the tenants is paying the taxes and stuff. But what happened when their lease is up is going to fall back on whoever gets that property from her if you're going to get it creatively.
Yeah, so like even like if I were to buy this, let's say from her, then yeah, it's like there would still be payments. Now, I didn't go into depth about like she's like, oh, I would need a pretty large amount down so that I can pay off this SVA loan. And it's like, well, since I didn't have a secure answer on like a purchase price, I wasn't going to try to overcome like the subject to part. Like, hey, well, you know, I don't got to pay that off. I could just leave it as is and just make payments towards it. And so like, it'd be a little bit easier for me if I had a number I can just present it to her and then tell her like, hey, I don't need, like, do you need a lot of money down, or are you just thinking that we need to clear this out and you carry the note type of thing? And if it's that, maybe we can just overcome that amount of money down and then just continue making payments on it. So it's a lower amount of money down. But I don't even know if it's gonna work or not. You know, I don't really know too much about like land, so I don't mind trying to get in there and see what's up. So tomorrow I'm gonna call some developers or whatever. I'll record it and whatnot. But yeah, it'll be quick. It won't take too long. Might get some people to answer, might not. Maybe like a follow-up thing. This one probably takes some time.
Carlos, also think outside the box, because maybe she's thinking that you can develop and build 22 houses, but maybe that's not the best way to go. Maybe you can build a small shopping center, or maybe there is a retailer that needs a warehouse or something, and you could just do a best use of the land.
And it looks like the best use would be single family homes. Like just looking at it on a satellite view, the best view, because there's only communities in the area. That's what it is. It's not like stores in the area. It's just like lots of large communities, like baller ass homes all around this thing. But all like you can all see they're all squared off in communities. And I don't see any freaking stores. I see a high school that's like a couple miles down the road, or like some type of college or something. But everything else just looks like it to be residential areas, residential market, like neighborhood to neighborhood type of thing. But they're pretty large. Like they all look like, you can tell when the houses are higher in price when you see how big the pads are and how massive the houses look when all of them have pools, and they don't look like your average single family home dwelling that's, you know, 1,500, 2,000 square feet. These things look like they have like 5 roofs each, like they have like the horseshoe driveways, and they're all massive parcels that I'm just hovering all of them. Look, 5,000 square feet, just hover 8,000 square feet, 9,000 square feet, 6,000 square feet. Those are just the size of the homes. I'm just hovering over them real quick, looking at them. And so you could tell, like, okay, all these houses are probably this one's 1.5 million. Just like hovering, looking at like what their Zillow priced at. And now that I was going to Google, everything just shows, hey, these are 8 bedrooms, 6 baths. These are listed at or Zillow will say they're worth 2 million, 2.8, 1.8. So I'm just trying to see, what makes the most sense in this area, which probably would be just more homes. Yeah, but
Got
let's
it.
move on. Let's move
Yeah.
on to this.
No, just thinking out loud about land, you know. It make me think of, I don't know if you read that book that Stan recommended, Confessions of a Real Estate Entrepreneur.
I have not.
No, yeah, inside that book. So the guy's a broker, he's a lawyer as well. But that's what he was doing. Since he was a broker, he had deals coming his way, and sometimes it was just land, and they didn't know what to do with it. But since he also had retailers and he also had businesses coming over to him looking for land, then he will match them, and then he will end up buying the land and then just leasing it up to the retailer because he was getting the two ends of the deal. But it made me think about that book.
Yeah, for sure. This is like probably best use is going to be single family homes. There's like nothing else in the area. The way that it looks, like it don't look like there will be anything else in there that'll make sense. But that's me not knowing 100% how to do this. But I'm just assuming, all right, cool. Nothing else around here is like commercial, just all large homes in all areas.
But that might mean they need commercial, although it is zoned residential, but they'd have to rezone everything.
Yeah. I don't know where they would put the commercial at due to the fact that like it's just, I don't know how to look about it. It just looks like where they would do commercial would be a little bit more south into the mainland of the city. So there's like Milton, Georgia, and you can tell like, okay, that's the city. Just like if you were to put in LA or Palm Springs, you can tell like not only is it residential, you can tell there's like civilization there and everything else. But then these are like a little bit on the outskirts. It's like you guys are like, or like if you're closer to Riverside, it's like, hey, this is like next to Riverside, and then these houses are close to like Big Bear type of thing, where it's a little bit out of the ways, and you can see more of like the forest land, but a whole bunch of nice luxury homes everywhere though.
Yeah, I pulled up, I just typed in Triple Crown in Google, and they were like what you said, 1.2, 1.6 mil. They're really nice looking homes.
So it's right there. It's just right in front of that. So it's not closer to the city, but it's just it's north of the city then. So it's like
so bit. I would do what you originally said, is call those developers right around there and ask if they'd want to expand a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, hey, this might make sense. The most sense is that Triple Crown is literally what's backed up to it, like connected. Like they'd probably be the best bet, if not the ones in front of them would be the best bet because it's connected both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking like that's just the way I'm thinking. But at the same time, I'm not a land guy just yet. I want to learn it.
No, you just sell it to someone who knows something about land.
Easier, right? Teach me about it later. Okay, cool. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna refill my water real quick. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. All right, I'm back in the back. Here we go. Yeah. What was I supposed to call today?
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message.
You got a forward like that, bro. Just trying to answer, trying to do some deals.
Hello,
Hey, what's up, Trinity? This is Carlos. How you doing?
Carlos.
Yeah, I was working with Haley. She was an agent that you were working with on a property that you had, I believe, off of Crestwood Drive.
Yeah.
Have you guys sold it? Because I had spoken to her and she said that she had given me your information actually to call you and talk to you. And so I haven't followed up with her since.
Oh, okay. I was like, who's Carlos? She didn't give me your name. So I was like, who's Carlos?
Yeah, I'm Carlos. Did she let you know that I was going to be calling you?
She did, yeah. She said that she had given you like an old number of mine, and so I had to give her like my new number.
Yeah, I was calling this number, and then eventually I was like, oh, okay, you know what? Like following it through, it was just out of service. So I had to let her know, I'm like, hey, that number isn't valid, but
yeah, my bad.
no worries at all. It happens. Are you still looking to sell it?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so she kind of like caught me up a little bit up to speed, said something about like you just buying it and then having to sell it, and there's no real equity in the property, right?
I know.
So I actually just bought something very similar. I bought this house. It was a new build in Cove, Texas, where this seller had just purchased the property, and her name was Star. She purchased a property, and she had just graduated in the area, and she had gotten like her master's degree. And so she bought a house and then find out she wanted to move back home in Atlanta. And so she didn't have any equity in the deal. She actually was gonna have to pay the agent after selling, and she was gonna actually lose a little bit of money. I believe she listed it for like 265, and she owed like 264 with some change in there. And so the broker that was attached to the deal, they called me because they know that I can buy properties like this. And what I had done was I had bought the property for the existing debt, and then I ended up paying the agent and then paying the homeowner like $5,000 in their pocket instead of losing money. And I was able to buy that property, and I wanted to ask you the same thing. If this wasn't, if you weren't able to sell this property, or let's say like having to pay money out of your pocket to sell it, would you be open to selling your property on terms like I'd be basically making payments on the house, and then I would be renting it out as a landlord?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we really just like, yeah, we really just need to get out of the house, honestly, because I mean, we've just had a lot of stuff going on. Like, it's because I mean, we're fine, like as far as like payments and stuff. It's just situation has changed, and I'm about to come into another home that I'm actually going to inherit. So to me, it just makes more sense just to go back home.
Got you. So basically very similar to the one that I had just purchased. And like the reality is she wasn't in a rush. She was able to afford her payments. It says that she was looking at the same thing. Her mother and father own lots of real estate, which to me, I didn't even know why she bought in Texas if she has everything in Atlanta where she lives. But they were going to give her like, I guess, a business on her when she was graduating and the house. And she didn't know that. She didn't know they were going to surprise her. She ended up buying this house And same thing, she was like, hey, I want to move over here. It makes way more sense. My friends and family live over here. I'm going to have a business. So I ended up buying a property, and I said, hey, same thing, like you would either going to have to list this and list it for a discount and then pay your agent. So you're probably going to lose money all around. Or I could buy it for the remaining debt in place, give you a little bit of moving money, so you get some moving expenses out the way. And then I take it over for a few years until I just refinance it.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see what you do.
Yeah. So what it is when the home is free and clear, it's called seller finance. Like in a scenario, maybe you sold your friends or family in the past, like something on payments before, whether it be gym equipment or a car. I don't know, so maybe you sold some stuff in the past to your friends or family on payments. It's the same thing. It's called seller finance. When the house is not paid off and free and clear, and there's a debt, the term for it is called subject to existing mortgage. And my goal would be to come in here, and instead of you losing any money, because I'm not sure if you were able to sell it and you're on a timely manner, like, hey, I'd rather just move into this house I'm getting inherited, then where I would just come in and say, I could buy it for the debt that you owe, give you some money in your pocket, and then I just I become responsible to the payments. And the way I make money in here, because as an investor, I usually buy a house for a little bit of a discount so then I can make the difference in equity. And then I basically rent it out or fix and flip it depending. Well, this one, since it's basically like at the market price and we're in an unstable market, how I make money is whatever payment I'm paying just needs to be less than what I could turn around and charge rent for. That's basically how I look to make money in these scenarios. And I wanted to ask, what was the remaining debt that you had in place, like the mortgage on this property?
The mortgage, the remaining, we are at 170.
Okay. And then, so around 170, and what's the interest rate on that?
Oh, geez. I know it's like 2 point something. It's like 2.94, something like that.
Yeah. See, like you can't even get interest rates like that anymore. Otherwise, it'd be easy for me to buy it cash, get this low interest rate, and then go ahead and just rent it out. But since I can't do it cash, I would have to come in lower, which you probably owe more than what I'm going to offer you for it, which wouldn't make sense on your end. And then, so what's that payment then for the 170, that 2.94 or so? What's the payment to the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance?
So monthly, now we're at, well, because we have FHA loan, so we have to have the escrow account with it.
Okay.
So that puts our payment at around $14.20 every month.
Okay. So that's principal, interest, tax, insurance, and that's including the escrow account?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any other liens, debts on the property? I'm not sure if this one was the one that had solar panels on it.
Yep, we're the ones with the solar panels.
Okay, solar panels. And do you pay anything additional besides the $14.20 to the solar panels, or does that include solar panels?
No, so solar panels on their own are $216.
Okay, $216. And do you know what amount that's owed left to the solar panels?
Oh, geez. I want to say, I know it was like a $60,000 deal. So I want to say we're somewhere in the 50s. I mean, we've been paying on it since we pretty much bought the house. Like we got solar panels installed like literally right after we got the house. That was one of the first things that I did.
Okay. And then, so then your electricity bill, though, at least that's fairly low then every month.
Oh yeah. I don't pay more than like $40, $50. And there's times that I don't pay anything. There's times that I pay $17. It just depends really as far as like the temperature outside.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just curious if I were to buy this property, like, and because typically when we buy it on payments, I go ahead and take title so I can work it. What happens is I wonder if you sell this, if the solar panel loan is going to want me to pay them off at the close. And so I just got to figure out if that is valid. Like if I need to confirm that, hey, if you were to sell this on payments, I wonder if that triggers like, hey, because somebody else is on title now buying it, but buying it on payments. I wonder if they're gonna see that title transfer and just be like and want to have me pay off the 55 to 60,000. So I'm just trying to see if that, because if that were the case, I probably won't be able to buy it, because here's how I make money from that 1420 that you pay plus 216. So it's like what, 1640 basically. And I think market rent in the area is like 18 to 1900. I think so. I think I was talking to Haley and she was bringing that up. Yeah, I think that the market rent is around 1800. So how I make money is that spread right there. Like, hey, if you're paying 1640 and I can rent it out for 18 to 1900, it's not like an attractive deal. It's a couple $100 a month, but it's a way that I could add it to my portfolio, make it work. In a second, it'll help you at least get out of the property and move on to the property that makes sense for you. If I was able to do something like this, buy the property, I know that you owe 170, maybe give you like $5,000 in your pocket, and then become responsible to taking over all the payments. Would that be something that we can do?
Yeah, okay, hold on. I'm sorry. My husband's just asking for an explanation. Can I explain to him real quick?
Yeah, and if he wants, I can explain as well to you guys.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, because you're on speaker now. He wasn't listening before. I was just listening to myself, and he's like, wait, what's going on?
Sure. What's your husband's name?
Josh, he's right here.
What's up, Josh? My name's Carlos. How are you, man?
Nice to meet you, Carlos. Doing good.
Nice to meet you, man. So I was telling your wife Trini about her property. So I was talking to the agent Haley about this, and she kind of let me know that you guys have this property, that you guys are going to be moving. There's really no equity, so it's hard to sell the property without losing some of the money, because you'd have to pay out, maybe take a little bit of a discount and then pay the agents. And so it would be a little bit harder for you guys to benefit from it. At the same time, I understand, since I invest in not only Texas, but I invest in a few other markets on the East, that prices have changed a little bit. Interest rates have gone up. So it just makes it harder from a homeowner to buy a property. It's more about affordability. Like, hey, what's this new interest rate going to make the payment do? And that's what makes it harder for somebody to go in there and buy it. And so I've been able to buy properties as an investor. I've been able to actually buy properties at like the asking price, or take over like those properties that have no equity in them, by buying them on a seller finance or some type of creative finance option, which is giving a little bit of money down and then taking responsibility of making all the payments. And how I make money in that transaction is typically I'll make money on the equity. Like, hey, I'll buy your house, but I need a discount so I can either fix and flip it or get a loan on it and rent it out for a profit. But in scenarios where you owe around what it's basically the market price is basically enticing it to be, well, instead of you having to take a little bit of a loss, taking forever first off, maybe to try to find a buyer, and then having to take a discount, and then that discount is even less than what you owe, you'd have to come out with money out of your pocket. This way, what I do is I'm able to buy the property for the existing debt, put some money in your pocket, and then I continue paying this. So I take my name, I put it on title, and then I go ahead as an investor. I would rent it out, and I was finding out rent in the area, what it could be, and it's closer to like 18, maybe 1900. So it isn't really like an attractive deal to me, but it doesn't mean that I don't acquire properties that don't give me home runs. So there's a way that I'm able to buy this, and it helps you guys out in the area, making it make sense. So then you don't got to lose money, and you can go ahead and move on to that next property that you guys wanted to. And then I go ahead and add this to my portfolio for a few years. I make payments on it. I rent it out. So basically my tenant would be making the payments for me. And then at some point when the market stabilizes and the rates come down, I would refinance it. So then it's completely out of your name, out of the debt at least. And that's what I can do. And it's just to make that a little bit easier for you guys. Otherwise, I think that you might just take a bigger discount and then have to pay money out of your pocket. I'm not sure if that's the route that is a little bit more exciting for you guys or not, but this was one way that I could do this. Just curious if that is something both of you guys would like.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I fully understand the explanation, like all that. So pretty much that if we were to agree for you to take the house, it would still be under our name, but you would be making the payments.
Yeah, so it's kind of like financing a car or your own house. So like you go to, let's say, Bank of America, and you're like, hey, I like this $200,000 house, and hey, they're asking you for like 20% down, and then you make payments. So you put your name on the title, but you owe somebody else the money. Well, the same thing here. It's not going to be like a 20% down, because it would defeat the purpose of how I make money with only a couple $100 a month. So I might be able to put a little bit of money down on this, and so then you'd become the bank. Like what this FHA loan. What's the company that you guys, who's the debt servicing company on there? The debt.
It's through Guild.
Guild, okay. So Guild would be the first position right there. Guild on with the mortgage 170. And then if I was giving you equity, like let's say there was anything remainder that I'm making payments to you on or paying you in a certain time frame on it, you would be the bank on that scenario, like a second position bank. But what I'm thinking is, hey, I just pay you some money up front, so then I'm just only having to pay the mortgage, because if I try to make payments to whatever little amount I give you, it's going to eat away from how I make money, because I'd have to make an additional payment to you. So it's very similar to going to a bank. It's just turning you into the bank now. And instead of me having to go and pay the banks these fees, I just come and I pay the debt that you owe. I go ahead and buy the house this way. It's a very similar way. It's just called seller finance or creative financing, where it's more principal to principal. Instead of me calling the bank, I'm just talking to you about it. And we do the same thing. We go through escrow, we go through title. And I have an agent that I've worked with already on a deal this way that I could also give them information, so then you can call and talk to them to verify it. But I was also working with Haley on this until she found out that her company only does traditional transactions, meaning cash, or, like how you got a FHA or loan like that. And this isn't a traditional route.
Right. Okay. I think I understand now.
Yeah. Same thing. Like, just like a car or a house or even furniture, you just agree on a price and you make payments over a set period of time. And that's basically like the easiest and fastest way that I can buy this house and make it work for me. Now, whether it works for you or not, that's a decision that you and Josh would need to make. But I could also send you over like an email to show you like an explanation of what it is. At the same time, I can show you a little bit about who I am and the properties that I own this way. And so then you can take a look and verify it as well.
Yeah, that would actually be great.
Okay. So what would be the best email for me to send you over some information on this?
Okay. So it'd be my email. It's all lowercase, Trini, TRINI, Gonzalez, GONZALES 13 @gmail.com.
Okay. And do you and Josh by chance have any questions for me? Anything that I can answer?
That was including the solar panel.
So it was including.
Yeah, he knows that we have solar panels. Okay. That's what he meant that about the whole, it would be like maybe like a $200 profit, because with the solar panel payment plus the mortgage, that puts it a little over 1,600. So that's where that 200 some odd dollars was coming into play as far as what he would profit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like it's a home run for me, but that's what I'm in business for. This is what I do for business. So it's like I acquire properties, whether they give me a home run or not. You get me? As long as it makes sense, as long as it makes me a little bit of money and doesn't turn into like a loss to me. I'm the guy that can typically be the bold person and make those moves over regular cash buyers or cash investors, because I also use cash. It's just right now with rates that are so high, I'd have to buy your house for like 140, so that I can get today's market rates, and then get the payment is going to be basically the same as what it is, but it's just going to be such a higher rate, and that's why I need a lower price. But that right there, that would now causes you to actually pay $30,000 out of your pocket when I have to come in and do that. So I'm like, hey, here's one way that I can do this. It's not like a home run for you either, but it's a way that I can take over your property and be responsible to it. It all goes through title, escrow, everything gets recorded. And then I go ahead and buy it, and I just make a couple $100 a month on it. And then down the road, my goal would be to refinance when it makes sense, get you guys completely out. And then I go ahead and have my own loan on this property. And you guys already have a house, right, that you guys are moving into. So it's not like you need like your debt to income ratio to be cleared up right away, correct?
No, yeah, no, that property is, it's already there.
Cool. Well, I just to let you know, I use a servicing company that basically tracks and records all payments that come in and then leaves invoices to disperse the money where it's supposed to be paid out to. And over like a 12-month period of me making payments, that actually, when you provide that to a lender, that will actually show that there is a property under your name that another entity, another party has been responsible making payments, and now it'll clear up your debt to income ratio. 100% will be lifted up. So in the scenario you decide you wanted to buy something, I know you probably not, but in the scenario that you decide you wanted to buy, you could still buy after a year of me making payments on this, you'd be able to use the same lender or a different lender.
Okay.
Cool. Well, any other questions, or I can go ahead and draft up an email and send it over to you.
Go ahead and get the email drafted up. Please send me. Sorry, I'm just laughing because Josh is just like, I don't know. This is usually my conversation. I include him.
Yeah, Josh, I'm like speaking like some crazy like space alien stuff right now to you guys. It's not your traditional cash purchase or whatnot, but it's a way that I think will benefit both of you guys, at least.
All I'm getting from this is you're pretty much helping us get out of the house.
That's it. I'm basically, yeah, because it's not a home run for me either. So basically, hey, I'm like, okay, you know what? I can help them out. Like I have like 2 properties where I'm like barely making anything. And what happens is down the road, if I hold the property, it'll benefit me down the road. So it's not like I'm going to make anything right now, but it does help out the seller. It adds it to my portfolio. And then down the road, I'll make a little bit more than right now. So let's do that, guys. I appreciate your time. If you have any other questions, this is my cell phone. I'm going to go ahead and email you over some stuff today, okay?
Okay, yeah, that works.
All right, Trinity and Josh.
I'm sorry. My daughter wants to say hi.
Hi, you.
Hi, you.
What are you doing? Yeah, well, me too. I'm not doing anything anymore. I was just talking to your mama. What's your name? What was
it?
Jasmine.
Jaslyn.
Nice to meet you, Jasmine.
Jaslyn.
Oh, Jaslyn. Sorry.
Yeah, he doesn't understand babies.
I got a whole bunch of dogs, though. A whole bunch of puppies.
Oh, geez.
There
Sorry,
you
that's
go.
my baby.
She sounds adorable.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good night and happy New Year, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
There's a sub-2 deal. Any questions on that, guys?
What's
What's up, my friend?
Yeah, what's how much are houses renting for around that area now? Like, what is it, like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or like what are the features, or like for 170 at a what she said was a 2.3 interest rate?
I couldn't hear what you were saying. Can you ask me again?
So what's market value for the house? For her mortgage being 170 and her interest rate being like 2.3, if I heard right.
It's like 190, 200,000. It's probably like the market price for it. Like market rent is the market rent is like 1,700, 1,800 bucks. So it's not really a deal. Like I'm just trying to see if I can market it in a 45-minute day like span and market it for a wrap and see if I can sell it for 200 to 210,000 and somebody pay like 1,900, then I would do that instantly. Boom. Just come in and make them pay the 5,000 plus closing costs or whatever. And then come in and just hold the note for the difference of whatever they put down, whether it be 10 or 15 grand. I'm only going to make the difference of 170 to who knows, 190 to 210 or whatever. So it could be 20, could be 30, could be 40,000. But I like looking at these deals for the fact that, well, if you're going to invest your money in stocks anyways, and you're going to put $5,000 or $10,000 in Apple or something, and you're going to make 7%, like what stops me from getting this property done and making, you know, a few $1,000s up front and then holding a note that's like 15 or 20 grand, but at a high interest rate. So it's higher than what stocks can provide to you. Why don't I just look at it like that? So I don't need a home run every time, but I can look at it like this and see how we can get it done. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I see the strategy.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look like, and then in the end, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's like, in the end, they're really like, I got to move. I got a new house or an inherited house that's better. So they don't need to buy something right now. And so it's basically like, they're looking for help. Even the guy's like, I'm basically trying to scratch my head. You just basically sounds like you're trying to help me out, right? I'm like, yeah, that's it. It ain't a home run, buddy. So yeah, that's all I'm trying to do. And all I can think of is it has that the solar panels. So I'm thinking we have to lock this up like a lease option or like a land contract. So then like the other liens are not like due at the close for the transfer of title. Because if that happens, then they're like, oh well, we're gonna want 60,000 to pay off the solar panels. At that point, it's like, well, that's too much money for it to make sense. What if we just did it this way, like on a lease option, and then sold it on a lease option again, which is called like sandwich leasing. I was just reading a book today about it, where it's like exactly like that. Like I buy it on a lease option and then automatically find somebody that wants to buy it on a lease option. It's like a sandwich lease where I just hold the lease in between the lease. Yeah, so that's the best bet for that, honestly. It might work, it might not work, but we can give it a shot.
Hey, Carlos, when you get a chance, I got a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
Hey, so you told the seller that let's say you purchased it and you wait until the market stabilizes and then you refinance it. Why would you refinance it if that's an excellent interest rate? That interest rate, I don't think is going to get back down to that type of interest rate.
I don't think so either. I don't know. I just presented it, I think maybe from habit of me saying it. Because in the end, I would rather not. Like I have a home where they'd ask me like, hey, did we ever come up with a term like when you would balloon me out because it was subject to a deal? I said, no, I would rather just hold the note for as long as possible. It makes sense for me because low interest rate.
Yeah.
So who knows? Like in the end, I might just bring it back and say, hey, I'm just gonna ride this out. Are you gonna be okay with it?
Yeah, hold the note indefinite until it's paid off, and also like to give them some like ease or comfort. You could tell them you could put a clause in there just in case if anybody was to default on that, you know, they could always take the property back. Not that they want the property back, but still it'll add a little more security to the deal so they don't think like nothing's going to come up.
Yeah, so I'm going to send them over an email on subject to seller finance, and then I'm going to send them over some HUD statements of how I bought some of these properties. That should help them out too, like that part at least. And if they have any more questions, they can present them and we'll overcome them. So I think you know it's something that we can lock up. Right? Honestly, you guys were able to hear how simple it was. Send them over some stuff, and most likely get some type of signature from sometime this week on that property, and then try to perform on it when we're at.
This was a good lead. It sounds good, man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Carlos, hey, where are these calls going to be recorded, or like you know, where can we get the recording at? I had to jump in and out because I'm bouncing cars around right now.
So typically the recordings go into my mentorship, and then like the Zooms are open to everyone in the mastermind. But I don't mind posting this one on YouTube. Like, I usually do live calls like every day, even on like on the weekends. I'll still do, even if the live call is just by myself, making a couple calls. And I post everything in the mentorship, but I don't always post it on the YouTube. So I can post this one today if you guys would like to post it in the YouTube. But let me know if you guys want me to. I post it on the YouTube. Just let me know in the side chat. If not, I'll probably just upload it into the mentorship type of thing. I don't know if it was too exciting for you guys, but I had a couple calls in there, maybe some juicy stuff, nothing too exciting.
Yeah, I was asking only because I caught the tail end of the tail end of this particular negotiation, and it sounds interesting. So, you know, rather than sit here and waste time rehashing the whole thing, though, you know, that's why I was asking about. You know, maybe you might want to post this one.
Yeah, I could post it or I could email it to you, either or.
Yeah, either way would be great. It'd be totally appreciated, bro.
Yeah. Do you guys know how to do wraps? So you guys know exactly what wraparound mortgages are or no?
You should explain it again. You explain it. You explain it well.
Something that I learned and I continue to do. But yeah, it's basically opportunity. I think would be best for a wrap due to the fact that market rents are around the same price or a little bit over what she pays. So it's not like an exciting deal as a landlord to only make $100 on the property. And I just think that a wrap would make a little more sense. And with a wrap, it's a wraparound mortgage, taking a mortgage that was given to you, whatever existing mortgage that is, and then you can add additional terms, like let's say a second note. So you wrap around an additional mortgage on the one that you have, and then you sell that combined mortgage, the two mortgages, meaning the one that's in place, or there might even be three. Like there might be some type of traditional money, like Bank of America might be sitting in first. Then you might be buying this on a hybrid where there's seller equity in second position. Then you're the one that's going to resell this on a wrap to somebody. So you might be sitting in third position. So it's a wraparound mortgage. You take a term that was given to you, and then you wrap around an additional mortgage and you sell that as a package to somebody. And typically you're selling that to somebody who wasn't easily or readily available to be approved for traditional financing. So somebody might be willing to pay a little bit more for the house and pay a little bit more interest on the house to be able to get approved through financing this way through the seller than over having to go and get declined through a lender, like some type of traditional lender. And why I like wraparounds is because you don't really have to hold responsibility as you become the note, you become the bank on there. And you're not the landlord. The landlord traditionally has to save some money every month just in case something happens. They have to take care of it. They're responsible to it. Well, when you sell on a wrap, your gross income that comes in monthly, your gross monthly income, it becomes your net income for the fact that you no longer have to save a portion of your money because you're the bank. And if you own your own house and you had a roof leak, you're not going to call Bank of America to fix it. You have to own it and fix it yourself. So when you sell it on a wrap, you're not the landlord. You're literally the bank again. And now this new person, they're not a tenant. They're buying it on payments. So it's like seller financing and seller finance is what you do. You protect it the same way, all the same documents. And for where I'm at in my career, I'm young and I have a lot of deals everywhere. I can't manage them all. And I don't have them in all like close markets next to each other. So it doesn't make sense for me to pay like one or two property managers to go ahead and take care of them. And so it's easiest for me to buy these or perform on them and then sell them on a wrap and have no liability and no responsibility, but still make my profit, hold a note, have a high interest on it and cash flow every month. And the cool thing is at any moment, if I needed to, if there was enough equity in the deal, I can sell the note for a profit to a note cash buyer. And it's something that I like doing because it's a really good strategy. I'm not sure if everybody does it or has learned about it, but I enjoy it. That's what it is, guys.
When you sell the note to a cash buyer, do you sell it as a partial note or you sell it outright? Like some people have situations where they'll sell the note for like 5 years or something like that, and then the note comes back to them. How do you do it?
It just depends, but typically I'd rather sell a large portion of it, because what happens is when you sell the whole portion, you typically lose the discount. You lose what you have to discount because most buyers, note buyers, are buying on a discount, just like wholesalers. They need to get their wholesale fee in there, or get their discount in there for it to make sense for like a cash buyer. Same thing. It's not like a note buyer is going to buy at 100% of the face value or the originating value. So what happens is you're forced to sell it on a discount, so then you can sell it to an actual note buyer that would buy this $100,000 note for 75,000. Yeah, they'll buy it's worth 100,000, but they're gonna want to buy it for 75 or 80,000, so they get their discount on it as well. And typically, if you have to discount it, you lose out on that. It's just a discount when you sell it. Well, you can hold the discount instead of sell, so you can sell on like 75% of it, which is what they're looking to buy it at, 75 or 80, and then you can hold the additional note, which is, it's a little bit more advanced and whatnot, but it's something that you can do.
With that seller and her spouse. So let's say at the beginning of the conversation, when you told them that you could put some money, like a little money in their hand and stuff, like at the beginning of the conversation, let's say if a regular retail buyer was to come and buy the house, not you, not an investor, just a regular buyer was to come and buy the house with no equity, it would probably cost them somewhere in the 11,000 range just to do the closing. So that might be a pain point for the seller because they don't want to come out of pocket. And then after the fact, when you pitch them and say, well, I could even give you maybe $3,000, $5,000. Now they hear they're going to get something out of it, and they're not going to lose nothing on the deal. They already seem eager to sell anyway.
Yeah, I feel you. Let's see. Annie, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Can you let me know when you mentioned you can sell the wrap, like a double wrap? Is that even allowed? That's my question.
So basically, the homeowner almost sells you the house on a wrap anyways. You get me? It's just seller finance. So it's not a wrap around due to the fact that it could sound like a wrap around from, like, let's say I'm buying a house from this seller, right? And this, let's say it really was a $200,000 purchase. So they owe 170 and I'm buying it for 200. So that means there's 30,000 in seller equity. So those are two mortgages. One's a mortgage that is owned by or owed to a bank or some other lender. And then the second mortgage would be the equity that's to the seller. So the seller basically wrapped a deal to me, but this one is, I'm buying it subject to and paying off their equity. So it's just going to be a subject to purchase after I pay the equity. But I'm just giving you an example. Let's say that there was equity. So I'm buying it for 200. That's basically two mortgages that are being sold to me on payments, if you can understand that, right?
Okay.
And so what happens is you take that, and obviously the terms make sense for you to turn around and then maximize the terms so then you can make money too. Otherwise, there's no way you can sell it on a wrap if there's no, like, if you can't sell it for more than what you bought it for. And then obviously you'd want to make the difference of what interest rate you're giving to what you can charge interest and what you think that you can charge for the principal interest, tax and insurance, or the principal interest, because they're going to be responsible to their own taxes and insurance. But what happens is this: you take the mortgages, the two mortgages that were given to you, or whether it's just one, and you wrap around an additional mortgage that you're going to create, and you're selling that to somebody else. It's not going to be a tenant that's going to go and live in there. They're going to buy it from you on payments, but live in there. So you wrap around the mortgage that was given to you by adding your second or third mortgage, due to the fact that the first mortgage might have two mortgages in place. So whatever mortgage, whether it's a deal that has underlying debt and equity, so it's two different notes, and then you go ahead and that those two notes still allow you to have wiggle room for you to sell it for market price or over. So then you're wrapping around another mortgage onto the one that was given to you, creating like a package deal, basically a package of mortgages. And you wrap that around, right? You wrap it, it's called a wraparound mortgage. And then you sell it to somebody else as like a one mortgage. Like, hey, I sold it to Josh for 235, though I had a first position at 170 that I'm responsible to, and then a second position at 30, I turn around and sell it to Josh for 235 on payments, and Josh's payments and interest rate are higher than what I have to take care of. So then Josh is the one that's paying all my bills and my debts, and I'm making the difference from what I sold it to him. And I make my spread on that 35,000. I make my incremental payments I get every month to my profit, and then I gain interest is really what's the only thing that's the most exciting on the small deals is the interest. But there's some deals where I got good spreads, like $50,000, $75,000 spreads on them. And then you have your interest payments and whatnot. So those are good deals. In scenarios, it's like, well, if I could pick up $10,000 or $15,000 in a note, why not do it when people are just dropping $5,000 or $6,000 in Apple or Ford or whatever? This is a way where I don't have to actually drop money into something. So it's a small investment, but I get into it for free just for conversating and then getting in there. And let's say I can get a wrap buyer. I'll probably put a 45-day close in there and start automatically looking for wrap buyers, whether I post it on Facebook, Craigslist, Zillow, and start calling in mortgage loan originators and seeing if they had any people that lived in the area that couldn't get approved, if they'd be willing to buy this house through my own financing. And then that's it. Let's say you find somebody, and great. You find somebody and now you get a piece of the pie that you would have walked away with if you didn't know what to do with it.
Wow, that's a tricky transaction to maneuver as far as the legal and paperwork. Would you then?
Yeah. So what happens is that, so you don't do all the paperwork yourself. Like you can, but like the best way to go about it is, let's say you start marketing it, and let's say, Annie, you're like, hey, I want to buy this house from you. I'm willing to buy it at 235, and I have $10,000 to put down. I'll buy it at 10% like you offered, and I'll buy it at $2,000 a month. Well, I go, great, cool. So this is something you can do. Great. I'm going to go ahead and put you in contact with my registered mortgage loan originator. So that person, that whether it's a guy or female, they're going to go ahead and basically originate the loan. They're going to speak to this potential wrap buyer. They're going to speak with them and see, when is it best for them to bring in their own financing, whether they want to finance, like, let's say I'm only giving them 10 years because the seller's only giving me 10 years, or whether it's 30 years. The job of a registered mortgage loan originator is not only to originate the loan and make sure that you're making the most of what you can and saving the most money, but they're also going to process and screen the wrap buyer to make sure that, one, they can at least afford the payments, and then two, that it's somebody that they can strongly, firmly recommend to do business with. They can't legally tell you, yeah, do business with this person, don't do business with this person. But they can give you recommendations, and they can tell you, hey, you know what, we screened this person. This is a good fit for you to sell them the house on a wrap or on terms, And so you're not doing it alone. You definitely want to use them because they're going to help you off all the legal documents, because we're turning ourselves into the bank. And since we're not using the bank and their paperwork, you want to use a registered mortgage loan originator to come in and help you out with all that stuff. They're like $1,500 to use per deal or so.
Oh, it's good to know. Thank you. So it's a registered mortgage originator.
Yeah, RMLO, registered mortgage loan originator. Okay. Yeah, it's a strategy that I like a lot. For the fact, like I just explained, like it's easier for me to do when I don't want to be a landlord on it. Cool. Well, they just sell it on a wrap and hold the note, so you're not actually liable. And then if the wrap buyer happens to default, you're protected with the same documents. So then you basically keep everything that was given to you, and you can get them out, kick them out, and then resell it all over again. That's not what you're intending to do, though. But just in case if that were to happen, shit happens,
Right. Right. I was gonna say, what are your contingency plans if things go south? Whether the original bank,
a performance mortgage, a deed in lieu. Obviously, some money down, things like that. So you would just try to you would protect yourself all the ways that you can with the performance mortgage and the deed in lieu and recording the deed in lieu at title and stuff like that, or with a servicing company. So the deed in lieu, basically, you can put it where, hey, let's say Annie's the one that's buying this property. Well, we can write a deed in lieu and both sign it, basically saying, hey, Annie, if you default over a 30-day period, the property is instantly getting transferred back into my name. So then I don't have to go through a foreclosure and have to deal with the legal issues and legal fees and stuff like that. So you can legally draft a document agreeing up front, hey, if you cannot perform after a 30-day period, instead of me having to go and foreclose and have to pay for, this foreclosure process and everything, this states that you and I agree that we're just automatically transferring the deed back into my name and you're getting out. And then
yeah, because I know that's how seller financing works. Because I was in one, so I get that. So
so you just protection up front, and then there's always a risk in real estate. Somebody may not make a payment, may not be able to afford something down the road, and that's just the risk of being an investor in real estate. That may happen,
Right, but can the original bank from the first mortgage call the note? Has that ever happened?
It can happen. It's typically doesn't really happen. It happens with like super small banks. Like let's say, hey, there's only like 2 branches. Well, of course, they're going to be checking every month. So the way to go about that is easily you can jump on a phone with them and see if there's a way around it. Some of them actually know how to work these deals. Or if not, the other ways would be lease option. So then there's no transfer of title, right? That's one. Land contract. So that you can take ownership of the property, but still don't take title. So then there's no transfer of title. Executory contract, which is basically like a for sale, or agreement for sale, which is like, hey, I'm going to buy this property and I'm going to execute the purchase in X amount, almost like a lease option. Or there's like a quick claim where, okay, well, this deed the property into a trust, name me as the beneficiary on the trust and assign it over to me so that I have control of the trust that has the property that I'm buying from you. And that entire time, there's no transfer of title, which then won't trigger the due on sale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some good stuff. Good stuff that I've learned from some good people. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that last one that I explained, the quick claiming it, deeding it into a trust and whatnot.
I got a question for you, Carlos. The part where you said you wouldn't have to foreclose, where it would be deeded back to you. If you get a owner buyer in there, like a lease with a purchase option, would it be an eviction or a foreclosure?
Like a foreclosure. Eviction is more like for your tenants, eventually, like same thing, like you'd have to basically evict them out, right? But no, it'd be a foreclosure because they're a breach of contract and everything like that. It's just like if you own your house and you can't afford to make the payments, eventually they're going to foreclose on you. And it's the same thing for us. We would be foreclosing on the potential rat buyer, or even if it's a lease option. That's a good question. I don't know if it's a little bit different, but with the lease option, their intent is to purchase, though it's an option, not a mandatory thing. So that's a good question. I'm not a CPA, don't have a confirmation on that. So I'll have to grab confirmation for you on that one.
Yeah, because the wrap it's supposed to be like you created 2 notes. You created one as a lease and the other one is a purchase option. So if they default on making the payments, that means first they voided the lease and now they can't purchase it because they're not paying. The property was never deeded in their name because they haven't paid off the note that you created.
Like if I sold it to them on a lease option?
Is you got a lease, that's 2 notes. You got the lease and the option to buy. So it's 2 separate notes that you created. But the
lease doesn't become a note because it's a lease. The note would be like if I'm selling, like when you rent something, you can no longer sell the notes because it's rented out in a lease. You can only sell the notes if you're the owner of the notes holding the property. It's like and here's why, because once you lease it out, a note buyer is buying a note that has an attached interest rate to go with it. And so if I'm leasing it out to somebody, I'm not selling it to somebody because there's no purchase price. Even if there was a purchase price, if the lease was a year, they'd have to execute on that lease. So then we can go forward with locking up that purchase to them. with an interest rate and a monthly payment to the principal and interest. And then you can sell that note. So at least you don't even have to drop an escrow when you do like lease options. Like you could drop, I would drop a, like not a residential lease, like a regular lease, but a lease option, I would still drop that in escrow and then give them the close of escrow date. Like, hey, it's 6 months or 12 months out. That would be the way, but it wouldn't be created. It's not a note because it's just a lease. The note would be like me selling something, like the house, the homeowner selling me their house on payments. Now that becomes a note. We're creating a note, and usually you can just have the closing attorney or the escrow company go ahead and draft that up for you, record it to title.
Yeah,
or the title company.
I'm missing something there because the title, once you substitute it from this seller, the title is going to be in your name. You're the owner of the property. You got control of the property. So when you go to sell it to this next potential buyer, one is a lease. You can lease it for 5 years, and at 5 years they have the option to buy. So it was like two separate notes created. Okay, I'm gonna leave it right there. But if I was under the impression it's two notes that's being created, is one note is the one instrument is the lease, and the other instrument is the option to buy.
Yeah, they won't be created. They'll be sitting in escrow and right there for the 5 years. And what happens is sitting in escrow too will also cloud the title. So it's like I can't sell that house under that potential buyer that wants to buy it from me. So like that's one way to go about it. But yeah, other than that, it's really not going to be like a note that's recorded on title. You get me? Like it could be like a tool, like you said, but it's not going to be a note that's recorded because there's no attached interest rate or payment to go with it besides it being a lease payment.
Okay, yeah, because you also create the interest rate for the owner buyer, the person that's supposed to be buying it. But I'm gonna leave it right there, and we could go forward.
Yeah, and then when you sell it too, like let's say that you're selling it on a wrap, they now put their name on title, and I just become the bank. That's it. So I don't own it on title anymore. I can't even take it back anymore. Like the only way I can take it back is if they fuck up.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. Cool, guys. Any more questions? What did you guys think about today's calls?
Whew. It was awesome, man.
Awesome.
Your question.
Fire.
Cool. Yeah, guys. Tomorrow we have the money series from 3 to like 4:30 p.m. We're gonna have a gentleman. He's a sub-2 student. Also, he's like a lender, private money, does hard money, talks about institutional money and how to use it correctly while buying cash and or creative finance. So we're not gonna do live calls tomorrow, but he's gonna come in as a guest speaker and he's gonna break down how to use those type of monies in your own deal. So like whether you're gonna use private money, hard money, institutional money, and how to use it when in a cash transaction and how to use it in a creative finance transaction. And I believe he's also going to go over the Morby method as well, where you use some institutional, like the majority of the purchase is institutional money, and a small portion of it is owner will carry, some type of seller finance. So then you guys are open and understanding how to use money the right way, and it will help you negotiate and be a little bit stronger as well. Cool, guys. That's going to be tomorrow, Wednesday at 3 p.m. Okay. Much love, everybody. And I'm out, guys. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carlos.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Tell your dog said thank you too.
Night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Hey,
Thank
Lowe's.
you. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. Good night.